the way I look at the Dakota Access Pipeline in particular, I look at that, you know, if I'm someone that's in charge of whether or not this project's happening, what I'm looking at is who benefits from it being approved and who doesn't, you know, and vice versa. Yeah. And so he approved it, and who does that help? That creates temporary jobs to construct the pipeline. They're not permanent jobs. Yeah. It's just temporary construction jobs.
And it's not going to take that long
to do the pipeline. Then, who else does it benefit? The shareholders of the companies involved. That's all the people that benefit. But who it's to the detriment of these Native Americans that have this land that's supposed to be reserved for them. Yeah. It's not like this, the companies don't own this land. No, they are trying to just go through and do their pipeline through this land. And that is a problem. It's also an environmental problem, as you touched on. Of course, President Trump, the Republican administration, does not seem to care about climate change or pollution even.
He thinks it's a scam by the Chinese.
So that's where we're at. But if you ask someone like me, I would tell you that, you know, not doing it is the better move, simply because it helps. You got to just look at the people it helps and the people it hurts. Yeah. And I think that, you know, this was the wrong move. But again, Trump, this is what we expected. He's very pro-business. Anything that helps out shareholders, anything that even creates temporary jobs, he's going to like. So it doesn't surprise me he did it. But that's where we stand on that.
I'm not surprised in the least bit. You know, virtually, and this is my rule of thumb, at least in the last few days, what I've seen, anything Obama liked or loved is now happening in the exact opposite way. You know, and I think that's what we're going to see a lot of. Things that were in the last 8 years that were passed or that, you know, weren't funded will either be funded or, you know, revoked. And I think we're going to see a lot of that going forward.
The other thing we need to touch on hasn't been completely gone through yet, but we pretty much know they're repealing Obamacare.
Yeah.
What they're replacing it with, not entirely clear yet. You know, Trump campaigned on bringing competition between the states. Maybe the new system could be all about that countrywide competition, which frankly doesn't sound terrible. But you got to remember there's other things in Obamacare that were pretty important. They're going to get repealed.
A lot of stuff, yeah.
So one of the things I think about, and this really hits home because of my family situation, is the you know, not being able to be on your parents' insurance till, you know, 26. That's going to be gone.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that after Trump met with Obama, he decided, you know what, I really would like to keep that. But let's be honest, Gerald. When the Republicans want to repeal it in its entirety, and they put that bill on his desk, is he vetoing it? I don't think so. No, he's gonna pass that regardless that's not gonna be in there.
Yeah, and I think that's very dangerous. You know, like I said, I have younger siblings. You know, and I know a lot of younger people under the age of 26 that are gonna suffer because of it. Now, again, there was key parts of it that, you know, you don't agree with. Like, for example, I don't agree with the fine. You know, people getting fined. And
I didn't like that either.
No, I think that's completely bogus. And that should have been something that gets taken out of it. But when you talking about removing people from the healthcare, there's a lot of people insured because of the Affordable Care Act. Now, I think the media and, you know, Republicans as a whole did a very good job with promoting the destruction of the Affordable Care Act by calling it Obamacare. You know, it was the tagline people used, and, you know, people hated Obama, so anything with Obama's name on it, we're going to get rid of it. But what it really was insuring millions. And a lot of people are going to go sick or go without health care, or it's going to get really expensive unless you have a really good job that gives you really good health care.
Obamacare was a mixed bag from my perspective. Yeah. It had its good things, had its bad things. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be repealing you know, the age limit on the parents' insurance, and more importantly, perhaps, the pre-existing conditions clause of it, that you got to have something. You got to find a way to keep some of those things in place, because, you know, that's one of the main things about it. You know, people, if you have a pre-existing condition, you really can't get insurance because the insurance company knows, okay, I'm going to have to be paying all this money. Why am I going to do that? See, that's the thing. Because everything's run through the insurance companies, they have to be the ones that profit and benefit. So, yeah, I mean, when you privatize it completely, you're going to run into those kind of issues.
Yeah, I mean, when you're profiting off of the health of people, that's a sad business. I mean, like, you look at companies, they're ran by corporation, and it's sad that they look at people's health conditions virtually as just waste. Like, they're not worth us taking care of. So then what are these people going to do now? What are they going to do now? And that's my question to, the politicians out here that are going to be in control of setting up a new healthcare. What are you going to do? Please tell me you're going to take care of these people, because if you're all about the people, if you're all about the public, have something in place for these people. Have something in place for kids that aren't getting jobs. We live in a different world than our parents, where people are used to be able to get out of college and be able to get a decent job, or heck, not even need college. Now kids are coming home from college, living at home way longer without these good jobs, and they won't have the health care that they need.
The other thing we want to touch on quickly is TPP.
Yeah.
Trump actually is pulling us out of that, and a lot of people actually like this.
Yeah.
Republicans too, even.
It's this might be the one thing that I think everybody can agree on for the most part. I mean, in the in the political process, when they were going through the primaries, I mean, Bernie Sanders spoke out about it. Most Republican politicians spoke out about it. Hillary Clinton, who actually was like a champion for this for a while, was, she even came out about it partially through the midway through the primaries when she was questioned about it, when Bernie Sanders was up in arms about it. And, I've seen, even from my job, I work in IT support for Verizon, and, the union was against it. So it seems like this is a pretty happy, successful deal that they have going on right now. But, I mean, Trump, Trump's a wild card. You just don't know.
A lot of these trade deals,
Yeah.
It's been said, and not just by Trump, that America is getting the raw end of the deal.
Yeah.
So, this is one of those areas where I don't completely distrust Trump in this area.
Yeah.
When it comes to trade deals, I mean, the guy is a businessman. He campaigned hard on this. There's something to be said about it. Bernie Sanders agreed with him on a couple of these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, this could actually be something that helps. The one person I do know that was for TPP, which I thought was kind of interesting, Gary Johnson actually defended it when he was debating Jill Stein. But by and large, it seems like most people wanted TPP to go away.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I want to talk about, Gerald, I think we covered Trump pretty well at this point, but what is the Democrats' response going to be to this? What should it be? What do we expect it to be? How are they going to deal with a President Trump?
I mean, essentially, all you have to do is look at the first 8 years of, Obama's administration when he had control, when it was Democrat. I don't think there's much that they can actually do. Unless, the best thing they can do is really hope and pray that people get out and vote in 2 years. I mean, that's legit all they really can do. Because at the end of the day, this is a fully Republican government, from the executive down. So anything they want, it's going to go.
Well, the way I look at it, this is we got to remember what the Republicans by and large did when Obama had that 8 years, and they hated basically everything he did.
Yeah.
But they fought. They fought hard. They tried to repeal Obamacare. Even when the Democrats had the majority, they tried to do that over and over and over. The Democrats seem to give up a lot easier and not fight. And I'm just wondering if that's going to change, if they are going to be more obstructionist.
If they don't come out swinging, well, you might as well say goodbye to them.
Because I think there's one or two things that's going to happen. Either the Democrats, just roll over and Trump and the Republican Congress runs roughshod, does everything they want, or they use the filibuster as much as they can. They try and repeal things, and you just have to try. Because if you don't, then you're just making it that much easier for the other side to get everything they want. If you only have to fight you on it at all, I mean, they can basically. I wouldn't be surprised if next thing you know, you're gonna wake up in the morning, corporate tax rates like 0%. Wealthy pay all the same taxes as the poorest people. Like that's what you're gonna go towards if you don't step up and try to fight. But what's interesting is, are the Democrats going to let the quote unquote Bernie wing of the party take over? Are the establishment Democrats on the way out? That's what is going to be interesting to look at.
As a very big supporter of Bernie, I hope that's the case, because Bernie supporters of Bernie are very vocal. They're very aggressive. Bernie Sanders is one of the most aggressive politicians I've ever seen in his old age. And I think that might be the future trend because a lot of young people got behind that message. They got behind the more social message that Bernie was pushing out. And I would not be surprised if that is the new Democratic Party within the next year, 2, 3, 4 years from now.
I've heard a lot of progressives, particularly people that do like radio talk shows and stuff, like the direction they need to go is that basically we're done with corporate money. We're done with billionaire money.
Yeah.
And just making it everything like a grassroots campaign like Bernie did. But I just question if the Democrats are really going to go that way because we know there's still a lot of establishment Democrats in there that want the same old, same old. It's not all, progressive guys in there. It's a mixed bag. In fact, I would even say the corporatist Democrats have the upper hand as far as who's in there right now. It's going to be really interesting to see. I think ultimately, the people, the citizens, are going to have to step up in some kind of way for it to change.
I think at the end of the day, and we'll close on this note, the people have to get out. They have to fight. We can't rely on a bunch of old suits that have been in office for decades. I mean, you have politicians who've been in power since our parents were kids. No, we can't have that. If this country's going to change, we're going to have to get out there and vote. We're going to have to get out there and run our own campaigns. I mean, if you want to change, okay, go out there and do something. And I think that's what I loved about Bernie Sanders' grassroots campaign. I love the fact that people were involved in. I mean, we live in a different world now. This isn't the same world where you turn on your nightly TV and that's how you get your news. No, people get on different outlets, and we can use our voices, as a way to get our message across. And we're going to close on that. Thank you for watching, Justin. The next 4 years, however long we're doing the show, whatever, we got a lot to talk about. So stay tuned.
There's going to be a lot to talk about. It's only the beginning.
It's only the beginning, so stay tuned. Take a seat on the couch and ride with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay woke.